Hmm. I see a like on the stream. There's someone there. Hello, Skillbred. Good to see you. Were you in the previous stream I did where I played Retribution? I think your name sounds familiar. Nice. Yeah, this is gonna be very similar. I don't know if this is gonna be like become like a regular thing on my channel. I think I've just obviously since playing Undertale Yellow, I've felt pretty inspired to make covers. Felt pretty inspired to make covers, and both this stream and the previous stream, I'm choosing to do this right after I've, pretty much learned the hard part of the song I'm trying to cover, and I want to show it off, but I don't want to make like another YouTube short, like, with another excerpt from the song, because I don't want to like oversaturate my channel with like previews. I feel like when you throw too many previews of something at people, eventually they just lose interest in the actual thing. So yeah, I kind of just want to share how how this piece has been coming along, because I'm pretty proud of how much progress I've made so far. Play it in a second, but I'll link the sheet music in the chat. Yeah, so something that longtime fans of this channel might find exciting is that hopefully my like connection's good. Okay. Something that long-term viewers of my channel might find exciting is that this is a duo arrangement. This is an arrangement for two pianos, which it kind of needs to be. If you've heard this track at all, you'll know that it's like impossible to play on one piano. It was very difficult to even play like this accompaniment part on one piano. I had to get really creative with like what notes to play with which hand, and you'll see what I mean when I do like a full take of it. But yeah, I think I've learned pretty much the entire accompaniment, which is like, the fast piano part, like that. Like there's those very fast piano notes. That's like on top of the song. I pretty much learned all of that. I haven't really touched the actual melody, which is like the where is it? I have the sheet music for the melody somewhere else. That's weird. Oh, okay, that's it. Yeah, the actual like melody part of the song, like that part I haven't really touched yet. That's like the arrangement for the second piano. You can see there, piano 2. Haven't touched that, but that's gonna be like infinitely easier than this accompaniment part. I don't think it's gonna be. I think it'd be a mistake to assume it's gonna be like a walk in the park. But yeah, I think this is gonna be the hardest part. Getting an actually good take of this accompaniment part. It's probably gonna take a while. So yeah, let me like check the stream. My Wi-Fi has been like really bad in this like location lately. So let me know if you guys are experiencing like any buffering or anything. Because my computer just like lost connection. I don't know if my phone did. Someone said something. Hold on. Ooh, meltdown. That part I haven't even touched yet. Proceeds to. I mean, I haven't like dedicatedly tried to sit down and learn it, but it should be a lot easier than like the accompaniments. But also, welcome, Stray123. I think I also recognize you from the previous Retribution stream. Welcome, welcome. Okay, I might as well do a run through of it, and then I'll just I guess I'll do the same thing I did last stream. I actually have like a final exam in like 4 hours, but I think studying for it at this point is just going to make me more nervous. I think just relaxing by like doing something like this is the best use of my time. But obviously that means I can't stream for very long, so maybe like an hour or so, maybe less. But yeah, I guess I'll do what I did last stream. I'll just do a playthrough of the song and then go over like the process of me learning it or something. And last thing, longtime viewers of the channel will know that like the way that I do these duet covers is like, you know, at first I record the accompaniment by itself, and then I record the melody layered on top of that. But in order to make sure I'm playing in time, in order to make sure I'm playing the accompaniment in time, I actually play the real song in like my earbuds so I can keep a sense of the rhythm. But for this stream, I'm gonna actually like, I have my computer right here, like right next to the camera, and I'm gonna actually just like play the song like on the OST, while I play the accompaniment, and you'll see that like with a lot of songs like this, it's not you normally have to worry about like echo, like, oh, you're playing the piano while the actual song is playing. Won't it sound like won't that be overlapping? Not really, because the part I'm playing is on piano, so like, and this piano is louder than my computer, so it's just gonna drown out the piano in the original song. So the only part of the song you're gonna be hearing when I like press play on my computer and start playing on the piano is like the melody part that I haven't learned yet. So that's a little bit of a life hack. If I can just like get the song to load. This is gonna be a little shaky. I'm gonna try to make sure that the song is loud enough on my computer that you guys can hear it, because otherwise it's kind of pointless. Yeah, let me know how it sounds. Let me try to lock in here. This is gonna be tough. I did like a playthrough of this whole thing like maybe once or twice. I ended up making some mistakes. You'll see why. All right, here we go. Hold on, I gotta like time myself. Hold on. Am I timing this right? No, I'm getting it like just slightly wrong. Maybe I should play it louder. Usually when I have earbuds in, I can tell a lot easier if I'm playing out of tune or like playing out of rhythm. Still getting it wrong. of stuck on. I need to get that right. That's the gist of it. So down to the genocide like remix version of Meltdown like is insane. I was actually considering just learning just like when I wasn't sure whether this was actually playable or not, I was considering maybe just like making like a genocide version cover where I just played it a lot slower. But I mean, I want to play the real song at like real speed. But no, yeah, I've been practicing along to the genocide like version of the song. And it's like just as good as the original song. Sounding great, but thank you. And welcome Zephyros and welcome Yayoi. Good to see you guys. So yeah, you guys can probably see why this has been pretty difficult. It's been a lot of fun. I've had to get really creative learning this song because like I don't know how much there is to really talk about, but I guess I can just try to walk through the steps and try to make sense. Like obviously like I mean I'm sure there's like some pianist out there in the world who can do it, but like I don't think this is really I mean the guy who made the sheet music said in the description of the MuseScore score, like I didn't make the right hand. I didn't make the accompaniment like playable. Like it wasn't intended to be playable. Like and yeah, if you tried to play it with just one hand, you tried to play all this with just one hand, like I don't think it's physically possible. Like the amount of contortion you need to do, like the amount of contortion and jumps you need to do while moving at that speed and being accurate each time, I don't know. So I kind of had to do this a little bit with my Retribution cover, but I really had to do it and test the limit of it here. Like test how good I actually was at it here. Like I had to take these notes that are all sort of in one meant to be played by one hand and divvy up like okay which notes are going to be played by the left hand instead. That's what these like lines mean. So like for example, playing these first few notes like reliably with one hand and then like, trying to go to the rest of the measure, like it's just not reliable. I don't think it's possible to play all those notes accurately and reliably when you're moving that fast with one hand. So do it because the reason why it's hard is because you have to the notes are you only have 5 fingers, so once you play these 4 notes, you need to cross over one of your fingers to press this bottom one. But then the next few notes are so what you essentially would need to do if you're playing with one hand is cross over for a second and then immediately cross back over to your original position and then do it again a bunch of times. It's just you'll break your fingers and like break your wrist doing that. So that kind of motion is really strenuous and unreliable. But what's a lot easier is just doing this. Your hand isn't really, your wrist and your hand is staying in one spot. You're just moving your fingers. So instead of playing all of this with one hand, instead I played these top 3 notes with the right hand, and the bottom 2 notes with the left hand. Because individually, these 2 motions are really easy, like comparatively at the very least. Like it's much easier to go than it is to go like that. So the entire process of like learning the piece is, the entire process of learning the piece for me was just figuring out like, okay, this impossible like run of notes, how do I break it up into like arrangements for my hands that are actually playable. It was like solving a puzzle. Hello, Hector, good to see you, thanks for showing up. Problem isn't that nobody can do it with one hand, but anyone who can doesn't have enough free time to play it. Yeah, true, like 10,000 hours of piano moment. Maybe a robot could do it, I don't know. How are you about to keep your wrist still for me? I could go into like technique and theory, if people are actually care about that. I mean, my biggest tip, this is actually something I've thought about before, just like, Jamal, hello. My biggest tip, I think this like completely is like almost 100% responsible for why I'm good at piano, or like able to play as, you know, as fast as and reliably as I can. When I was a kid, my dad would have me like, literally he would have a tennis ball and he would have me hold the ball like this, and he'd be like, okay, this is the position your hand needs to be in when you play piano. I'm going to remove the tennis ball. I'm using this, I don't know why I have this. I'm going to remove the tennis ball, keep that position, and then move your fingers to press the notes. I was like, okay, like that. The number one thing that, in my opinion, you need in order to play reliably, to play with like any sort of power, to play fast, you know, play with emotion, is you need to have, not always, there are always exceptions to the rule, but generally you want that, your hand to be in a position where it's like you're holding a tennis ball underneath it. You want this like nice arch in your fingers. You want your wrist to sort of be like level with the piano, and the reason why you want to do that is because like if you're like this, there's almost like the strength that you're pushing the key with is coming from like nowhere. It's like coming from like, I don't know, like this joint, which is like only like a third of your finger. If you go like this, then you can move the fingers from the joint, like the very first joint. It gives you a lot more flexibility, and it lets you like it helps support your fingers as well. Because like if you're going like this and you're trying to like push down really hard to play loud, like you know, the weights that you play with, you know, in order to make notes sound loud and, you know, have weight to them, you use your body weight. Like, you know, if I'm trying to play you see like I'm sort of swinging my body at the piano as I do that. It's because I'm literally bringing my body weight down on it. And your fingers, you know, aren't a super strong part of your body. They're only going to be able to do that and support yourself putting the weight on them if you have that arch. Because otherwise, there's like, I don't know the exact like physics or science behind it, but it's just like your fingers will like collapse under the weight if you don't maintain that arch. That's what I think is the key. That's like my secret. Use a tennis ball. You could like go back through a lot of my old piano covers and see, like if you really like zoom in on my hands, I guess, that yeah, my fingers are usually like curved or like arched like that, because that's really important. Obviously, again, there's exceptions to the rule. Sometimes you want to like play like this if you want, if you purposefully want the notes you're playing to sound like very stilted and unnatural. Like way back, like this one, like 7 years ago, I did that during with my Your Best Friend cover because I wanted like I wanted to sound strained. I wanted it to sound like Flowey was, just barely hiding his like anger. And so the way I did that was I played with like very flat fingers because it sounds very unnatural that way. It doesn't sound the sound isn't as like full as it is if I was just playing it normally. So I mean, it's the classic thing where like you have to know what a rule is and why it exists to be like in order to be able to like break it. Because like rules, no rule in like art or anything is like 100% meant to be followed. In art, a lot of times you do want to break the rule or like the thing that's like traditionally believed to be effective in order to have a certain like emotional impact. But you need to understand why that rule is in place to begin with before you start breaking it. So that's my little tangent. I kind of like for the longest time I was brainstorming like a video idea where I would go over like sort of tips like this with piano. I don't know if I'll ever make it just because it would require me to like really sit down and organize my thoughts. And I don't know if I really want to go through the effort of doing that, but yeah, appreciate the question, Hector. It was nice to like ramble about that for a bit. The original question about like keeping your wrist still, I guess that is sort of related because when you have the arch, you're able to play from the joints. You're not using your wrist to like push the notes. It's purely finger strength. And once you're able to do that, then you can start putting your body weight on it. Using your wrist strategically to like play octaves, for example. But yeah, number one takeaway: use a tennis ball. That's what you need to do. But yeah, I'll play the song again because it seems like there's more people here. But yeah, just to finish up what I was saying, I guess I can go over it again after I play it again. But yeah, like I guess, and those of you who were here when I first played it, I guess like if you want to, you can pay attention. If anyone's still watching who watched the beginning and has like the free time to do this, watch my hands and see like how they sort of like move around in order to make sequences of notes that you would think would be like too fast or too spread out to be playable. Like notice the way I position my hands to like make it so that it's actually like possible. So I'm gonna try to play it again. This kind of like Retribution. This song is gonna be hard to cover because I can't play it too many times without like my hands starting to hurt. So I gotta be like careful about that. Okay, let me try it again. Yeah, again, for new people who just came here, I'm gonna be playing the actual song from my computer just so I can have the melody going while I play the accompaniment. Hello, Cookie. How you doing? All right, sounds good. I don't think I will be, but maybe you can rewatch the VOD or something. Thank you. Thank you, Jamal. Yeah, this has been a real tough song, but it's been really it's been a lot. It's been very rewarding. I guess like I mentioned how you should, if you were able to, you should look at how I'm trying to position my hands to make everything playable. Like some of it was relatively straightforward to arrange. I mean, it took a lot of trial and error. Something I needed to keep in mind because I started practicing it slowly, obviously, and I was trying to figure out like, okay, does this arrangement of my hands work? Like the thing is, even if it worked when I was playing slowly, it might not work. It might not have. A certain arrangement might not work if I'm playing it fast, which is the entire point. So I had to test it at different speeds as well. Like I had to be like, okay, I've come up with this arrangement. Like I'll play these notes with this hand, these notes with this hand. Okay, it's playable now at slow speeds, but is it playable at fast speeds? And I have to like keep increasing the tempo until I got to the speed of the original song, like until eventually I would be able to play like yeah. And something that again, like the Retribution here, I'm just gonna go over like tidbits and like things I was thinking about learning the song. Funnily enough, I would say this song still isn't harder than Spider Dance. I think that's still like the hardest song in terms of just notes I learned, just because like if you guys know any music theory, you'll know what arpeggios are, and if you don't, that's fine. An arpeggio is like I think everyone should at least know like what a chord is, like at the very least, like vaguely, like as a chord, it's a combination of notes that sound good because of music theory stuff. So a chord is this, the notes played together. An arpeggio is when you take the notes in a chord and break them up and play them one after the other. So instead of playing this, I play this, and then maybe even like a lot of times with arpeggios, Dandy. Good to see you. I'm a stranger to streaming in the afternoon. It feels very weird still. I always stream at night, which is also doesn't really work for you since you go to bed early. So I don't know, maybe one of these days. But it's good to see you. But yeah, arpeggios is like when you play the notes of a chord broken up. So instead of this, you do this. And then usually when you do arpeggios, you end up, getting a little fancy with it where, yeah, let's go. hype. But usually with arpeggios, you get a little fancy. Instead of just playing, you end up doing this. You know, playing the notes of the chord over and over again each time, like an octave higher. Like, so instead of doing like, I don't know, you do this. You just keep playing the notes that make up that chord one after the other and just keep moving up the keyboard. You know, keep it, so with this, I'm just playing C, E, G over and over again each time, like this C, this E, and this G, and then this C, this E, and this G. You know, arpeggios are extremely common in music because they're a nice way to make things sound fast, I guess. I mean, that's kind of a terrible explanation, but like, you know, for example, this song is like, but it could have just gone. Those are the notes I'm playing. I'm just playing them as chords, as like blocks of notes instead of playing them separated. And obviously it sounds a lot more like hectic and high energy when I play them separately. A lot of times arpeggios will be used in the left hand as the accompaniment just to make a song sound like more busy. Obviously arpeggios can be used for a lot more than that, but that's something they're used for often. Like you'll just hear in the background of a song like, you know, I'm sure you've heard something like that before. So something that was very convenient for me learning this piece is that despite how difficult the notes are, the fast parts are mostly just arpeggios. Like this is an arpeggio. What else? This is an arpeggio. These are all just pre-existing chords that are just broken up. Like instead of doing, the way I would practice it is I would just play the notes as blocks, like, so that was an easy way to memorize like what notes I needed to press. Like I've memorized the beginning little, like the beginning accompaniment melody, like the, I can play that from memory because it's honestly pretty like, in terms of just what the notes are, it's pretty easy to remember because it's just like a chord sequence pretty much. It's not like a melody in and of itself. Like, you know, this is a melody, like, yeah, those aren't chords. Those are just notes that are meant to convey the melody. This is just an accompaniment. So, and you know, something was extra nice as someone who, you know, practiced a lot of piano as a kid and had to do a lot of the stuff that a lot of people, including, do a lot of stuff that I think is kind of boring, but is necessary if you really want to get like, you know, consistent finger strength. One thing I had to learn was arpeggios every single day for like 9 years. No, way more than 9 years. I guess more like 11 years. Every day for like 11 years, practice piano for 2 hours, and I would start almost every single time playing an arpeggio. I would just warm up with scales. I'd be like, and it's super boring, and I never liked it. But it's because of songs like these that doing that is useful, because having practiced arpeggios in like a bunch of different keys before, like, you know, another thing that's really annoying about arpeggios, I never liked playing them, is the fingering for them is different for like almost every single, like, the fingering can vary between arpeggios, like, you know, the notation for like fingers, which fingers to press the keys with, you know, I'm not going to get into that because it's still pretty confusing, even as someone who's played piano for a while, but like the way you play this arpeggio, C major arpeggio, is thumb, pointer finger, middle finger, and just keep repeating that, right? Cool. But the way you play, let me think. The way you play this arpeggio, this is like a G minor arpeggio that's like slightly in a slightly different arrangement, is thumb, pointer, index, thumb, pointer, index, thumb, pointer, index. It's like different. It can vary pretty wildly depending on what notes you're pressing. So you need to know, like, okay, for this arpeggio, I need to use these fingers. But for this arpeggio, we need to use these fingers. And that's just something you memorize. That's something you memorize eventually playing piano for a while and practicing arpeggios for a while. And it's really annoying, but it came in handy doing this because I was like, oh, okay, you know, what fingering should I use to play this like pretty tricky sequence of notes? Or it was still a little bit difficult to figure out, but I had a head start in, you know, puzzling that out because I played arpeggios before and like they employ similar fingering like positions. So that was like a little, what's the word? Not like a cheat, but just like something that helped guide my playing. Whereas something like Spider Dance is just like the left hand's just like, it's not playing, it's going, it's playing a bunch of like random ass notes really fast, and it's hard to memorize, and there's like really no like cohesion to it. It's just a bass line, like, or something like that. That's a lot harder to memorize than just like, oh, okay, this is an arpeggio, this is an arpeggio. The way the song is structured, I was able to break down the accompaniment like little blocks and memorize those. So that made learning it a lot easier. What else? So like there's that. And then just going back to the, I don't think there's anything else to say about that. I guess that's to explain why, like, I think I was able to learn this relatively quickly. Took me like a few days of like nonstop practice. I've been busy with like finals and like my semester wrapping up, but that has also meant that, you know, I've been stressed out because of school. So during my free time, I've just been like latching on to like doing something creative to like help relieve stress. So I've been like practicing this like for hours on end. I was able to learn after a few days of like grinding, and that's why I think something like this is playable, whereas like some songs like this, like the original arrangement of Battle Against a True Hero that I was trying to learn like way back when, where the left hand was actually around like and just like went crazy the entire time. I don't think that's possible. I don't, even if I play with both hands, I don't think it's possible because, you know, you might think like, okay, life hack, if a song is too hard, just split up the notes between the left and right hand. It's not a foolproof solution. Hello, Team Master. Work, 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 indeed. Except this is fun work, whereas school is hard work. What was I gonna say? Yeah, like, you might think, okay, for, I don't know, Spider Dance, like, this is really hard. So like, oh, why don't you just arrange it for two pianos, have like the right hand be by itself, and then like take this difficult left hand and just play with both hands. Like, problem is that using the two hands to play like a sequence of notes that's meant for one hand is a solution that doesn't always work. Because let's say I started doing this for Spider Dance. Well, okay, it's easier to press the notes now, but now what I need to do is go through the effort of coordinating the hands. I'd be like, okay, after I played these notes, after I played this F a few times with my left hand thumb, I gotta play this, you know, it gets really confusing. Like, okay, when should I play with the right, when should I play with the left? Again, it was a lot easier to do that with this song because the actual notes I was playing were pretty straightforward. It was easier to remember, like, okay, all I need to do is play the first 3 notes of this arpeggio with this hand, last 2 notes with this hand, as opposed to like, okay, you know. So that's why like some songs I still think are like genuinely impossible. Even like simple sounding songs like Crazy Noisy Bizarre Town, I had to turn that song into a hello Naughty. Let me know if you guys are like this is like interesting. I don't want to be like boring you guys. But what was I gonna say? Yeah. Crazy Noisy Bizarre Town, like it's a song that sounds like it'd be easier to play than this, but I made that a duet and just played the 2 hands separately just because I suck at rhythms. Like another thing that made this song pretty convenient to learn is that the rhythm is honestly pretty simple. It's just fast the whole way through. There's no like polyrhythms like or something. It's just a bunch of notes flowing the entire time. Crazy Noisy Bizarre Town is like a jazzy song. So the left hand was like doing these crazy ass like unconventional rhythms while the right hand was also doing unconventional rhythms. For the life of me, I could not combine them. Rhythm has always been like my weakest point as a pianist. You can go through a lot of my old covers, and if you really listen, you can tell that like certain covers I end up, speeding up over the course of the cover and end up playing at a faster tempo than I was at the beginning. Sometimes that's fine. Sometimes that's good for like, emotional effect. But sometimes it's just because I can't keep an internal sense of rhythm and it gets in the way. And it can come at the cost of the piece sounding like, cohesive. So, I don't know what else there is to say. This part is the part I'm struggling with the most because there's really no opportunity for the left hand to get involved. This is like I don't really feel like explaining why because I already talked a lot these past like 20 minutes. But unlike this, the notes just aren't arranged in a way where the left hand can really help. So it's all the right hand. So like I need to like go crazy, and it's probably the hardest part of the song. Everything else is like manageable, I think. So yeah, all that really remains is to keep practicing this until I can like play it consistently without too many mistakes. I think 1 or 2 mistakes here and there is fine, given how difficult the piece is. I think people will be willing to forgive that. Just practice it a few more times. Practice it enough to where I can play through it. Sit down and have like a dedicated recording session, and then once the accompaniment down, that's the hard part. Then I can record the actual melody, which is a lot easier. Just like and then edit it together, just like any of my other duet covers, and yeah, good stuff. Let's see. I can like try to play I can like try to sight read the melody because it's really not that crazy. Yeah, it's super easy, I say. And there's more to it, but I haven't arranged that yet. Yeah, dude, Meltdown is so good. Obviously, I like the song a lot because otherwise I wouldn't have it be like the third song I'm covering from the game because it's really hard. But yeah, I should do like an Undertale Yellow like tier list, OST tier list stream at some point. Meltdown would definitely go super high. Nothing else to say really. I guess like a funny thing, obviously in the actual song, like this part sounds really good, like in the actual song, like Zephyros described as like a riff inside of a riff, because this is already kind of a riff, like in this much faster riff that's like double the speed plays. Sounds really cool. I can play it pretty reliably, like when it's a little bit slower, like. But when it's playing at full speed, I have no chance of playing the notes. So a little secret, which you know you might only realize if you're listening carefully and you've listened to the original song a lot. When I get to that part of the song when I'm playing at full speed, I kind of just bullshit and I don't actually play the. I just kind of mash the keys that. I've kind of mashed keys in a way that sounds like the notes, but it's not actually the notes. Like I'm just going. But it's going so fast that I don't think it's very noticeable, so it's fine. Some compromises must be made. I guess the last thing that's worth mentioning is then, like I mentioned during the previous Retribution stream, that crossing your hands over one another, like either putting your left hand above your right hand or your right hand below your left hand, something you'll see pianists do here and there. It's not something you really want to be doing much because it's very awkward, but sometimes it is necessary. Like with Retribution, I did it because I was used to playing this melody or this accompaniment with the right hand. So instead of learning it again for the left hand, I just did this. No, wait, I didn't. Did I? How did I do it again? I don't remember. check the sheet music. In the Retribution cover, I did that for that one single note. Just because, you know, jumping all the way down, you know, so the left hand is usually what plays notes all the way down here because, I mean, it's more suited to it. But, jumping from here to here really fast isn't very reliable, so I just used my right hand, which isn't doing anything at that, like, during that beat, like. That's why I did it in the Retribution cover, and that's the same reason I'm doing it here. Again, you want to keep that to a minimum. It's a very unnatural way to play, but for some of these, I didn't really have a choice. Like, you know, most of the riffs and most of the arpeggios I could play without having to cross over the hands, just like finding creative solutions, just like. But around this part is where I crossing over the hands is necessary. Like. To explain why, like. Okay. Hello, EJ McCombs. Good to see you. Yeah, I hope this is interesting. I mean, I have like decent number of viewers, but I'm not sure if there's just like not much to say about all this because it is pretty technical. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's interesting. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so like here, for example, like the notes I'm playing are, and I kind of need to do this. I don't think there's any way I can play this sequence of notes. Want to be composed is interesting. Okay, awesome. I don't know how useful this is for composition. I'm gonna be completely transparent. I'm really bad at I suck at composition. I've gotten a lot better at transcribing, but I still have a long way to go. I still have a long way to go on that front. But maybe there's like some tips you can learn from here anyway. But yeah, there's more like piano technical skills. Yeah, the notes I'm playing here are. I don't think there's a way to do that in a different way. I don't think there's a way to reliably play those notes in a different way. Like, you know, same reason I mentioned before. Like, your hands are completely nothing about music. Well, you gotta start somewhere. So I'm glad you tuned in. I don't know how much sense this is going to make, but I always like seeing people getting into music. It can be intimidating, but it's usually worth it. I'm glad I put in the time. What was I gonna say? Yeah. Same thing I mentioned before about how like this arrangement of the hands makes sure that I don't need to move them very much. I don't need to adjust them very much. So playing these notes fast this way is easier. So this is fine. But then the next notes are. I have a problem now because. Well, to be specific, the next few notes are. This is a problem because normally what I would want to do is play these notes with the left hand and play this with the right. Because again, Otherwise, I need to, if I wanted to play it all with the left hand, I would have to go like this. And being able to do that reliably while playing fast is, not easy. So I'd rather just be able to play this. There's a lot of key changes. It's good that you're able to recognize that. Very, very good sign. What was I going to say? I would normally want to play this with the left hand, play this with the right hand, but I kind of can't because after I play these notes that come before, my left hand is here and the note I'm supposed to be playing is up here, and I can't, I could try to contort my hand to play the notes, but that kind of defeats the purpose. The whole reason I'm doing any of this is so I don't need to contort my hands very much while playing fast. So making that jump from this note to this note super fast, repositioning my hand entirely, very difficult. My left hand is not going to be accurate enough. So instead what I have to do is play these lower notes with the right hand, which you usually play the lower notes with the left hand. Play these lower notes with the left. I'm getting ahead of myself. Play these lower notes with the right hand, and then I cross over and play this top note with the left. So instead of doing this, is what I would normally do, I kind of have to go like this. And then the fun just keeps on going because after I do this, where is that? Yeah. After I do this, the notes are, but as I've said a bunch of times already, if I wanted to play all that with one hand, I'd have to go like I'd have to move I'd have to contort my hand position again, which is not what I want to be doing when I'm playing this fast. So kind of a jank fix, what I end up doing is I play these notes that can all be played with one sort of hand position with the left hand. And then I just sort of insert my right hand over it. And then I do that up here as well. I guess what I'm trying to say, the main point I've been trying to make is that the key to learn this song, this extremely fast and crazy song, is just arranging it in a way that at any given time, the notes that my hands need to play aren't that crazy. Because this is crazy. But this, just playing, my hand barely needs to move to do that. It's still hard to play it that fast, but infinitely easier than having to move my entire hand. I just need to move my fingers in a preset position pretty much. That's how I'm able to play it that fast, because at any given time, the notes that my hands need, the notes that my fingers need to play are not too outrageous. And I was honestly pretty lucky. I've noticed. Thank you, EJ. I've noticed with my covers, if I'm dedicated, if I like a song enough, I'm going to find a way to get around any problems I encounter. If I tried to learn this song and I didn't like it very much, I would have just looked at it and been like, okay, it's impossible, I give up. But I like this song a lot and I really want to learn it. So I really was like, no, this is playable. I just need to figure it out. So there was an element of, determination involved in getting it to be playable. But at the same time, I did kind of get lucky because not all songs are laid out in such a way where you can divvy up that the impossible string of notes into something that's actually doable once you split it up between both your hands. Again, Spider dances left hand. You just need to learn that. It's literally a skill issue, and I failed the skill issue a lot. Like, there's no cheat for that. You just, because of the way the notes are arranged, divvying it up between two hands wouldn't make it easier. So you just need to like tough it out. Thankfully, this song was not one of those songs. So I was able to employ a lot of like tricks in order to make it playable. So yeah, I'm looking forward to publishing this. Obviously, I still need to record everything. Again, this is the hardest part. This is the part that I still need to. I mean, I guess, yeah, proofs in the pudding. This is the hardest part because the way the notes are arranged, I can't slip my left hand into help. This part is almost entirely my right hand. I'm relying entirely on my right hand to get this done, and that's a lot harder. Like. You see I'm slipping my left hand in here and there, but 99% of it is just my right hand having to move a lot, and that's having to move the hand in different positions is infinitely harder than doing any of this. Instead of just pushing lifting and pushing my fingers, I have to move my hand as well. And I'm lucky that this part is still mostly just arpeggios, which is stuff I've learned before. But it's just hard enough that I still mess up on it. I need to practice it to get it into like any sort of state where I can consistently play with the rest of the song. So that's gonna be the biggest hurdle. I just like yesterday learned the ending parts, like because the accompaniment at the ending is a little bit different. Like instead of it goes, so. See if I can pull this off. Something like that. I still need to practice it to really get it consistent, but that's the general idea. And then I went through and marked down like what the chords were. Can't really read it very well, but like that's an E chord. I sometimes do that with songs. I didn't do it with Retribution because I think taking the time to mark all the chords would have distracted from what the intended feel of the piece was. Like Retribution was Retribution was a song that like I wanted to play super intense, not paying much attention to like the theory or the, any of the, like I didn't want to pay too much attention to the music theory behind it because like the point of the song is it's meant to be like frantic. It's meant to be like, a desperate last dance. Like thinking while playing it, just thinking like, oh, I need to make sure I emphasize this is an A minor chord that's, it didn't really work. I didn't really fit with what I was trying to convey with the song, but I think part of what makes this track so good is that like it's very fast paced, but it feels very like mechanical, in the sense that like, I don't know if this is intentional, but like especially learning the piece the way I have, like combining my hands, it almost feels like I'm conducting a electrical current or like, flowing water or something, like, like just moving my hands all around, just making sure like the stream of sound is unbroken, like almost feeling like I'm carrying the spark around all across the piano, which fits with the song obviously because it takes place in the steamworks, this rundown area rundown mechanical area that's powered by like liquid fuel. So like, you can almost feel like the machine booting it, like the machines in the steamers booting up as like this energy flows through it. And I think what makes that especially interesting is that, like, you know, it sounds very fast-paced, but there's an order to it. Like, the fact that the accompaniment is just a bunch of arpeggios pretty much is, I think, intentional, because it sounds fast, but it also sounds very orderly at the same time. Like, there's something that feels a bit like robotic about it as compared to, like, I don't know, for example, the accompaniment of Retribution, like, that sounds a lot more fractal. It sounds a lot more like human, I guess. This sounds very like, what's the word? I guess more professional, more polished. I think polished is the word. It sounds more polished. Like, it feels like a very fast machine. And so, like, learning how that machine works, you know, playing the song really slowly to make sure, like, okay, I'm not just flailing my fingers. I know that this beat, I need to play these notes. This beat, I need to play that note. And then even going to the depths, like, okay, this is an F sharp minor chord that goes into, you know, a B minor chord. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean in terms of, like, the emotional impact of that part of the song? I think going in depth on that, at least like a little bit, has been helpful, just because, you know, I'm trying to convey a different feeling than I was with the Retribution cover. Yeah, that's just like another thing I'm doing, trying to, like, personalize and make this cover unique. I hate music theory. It's not my favorite thing in the world either. I think you're definitely not alone in that. One of my favorite composers of all time, Debussy, I think, said, like, music theory, like, kills music or something. I see it as, like, the way I see it, I mean, I had to learn music theory growing up, like, you know, for a long time, for like, I don't know, like 9 years. It was never, like, my favorite part, but in the end, I am glad I did it. It makes learning songs a lot easier. I think it would probably make composing songs a bit easier as well. I just view it as, like, I don't let it dictate my understanding of a song. Like, music theory for me is, like, supplemental. I pay attention to it when paying attention to it would, like, improve my emotional experience with a song. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I listen to music because I want to feel an emotion. And if zooming in with the microscope and being like, oh, shoot, this composer's a genius because they use this chord and transition to this chord, which you wouldn't normally do, but they did it because in music theory, you know, this type of chord transition means this. When analyzing a song like that, makes me like it more and makes me appreciate, you know, the craftsmanship of the song, and makes the emotional moments of it hit harder, then I think it's useful, and I like looking into music theory and, like, analyzing songs based on that. But otherwise, I don't care. If a song is good, a song is good. I don't give a shit. So yeah, I think that's it for this stream. I think this is about the same length as the Retribution stream. Hopefully people had fun. EJ, I hope this was, like, helpful, and if it wasn't helpful, at least it was, like, entertaining. Hopefully, like, piqued your interest a little bit. Anyone else who was in the chat, thanks for showing up. Thanks for leaving likes. 7 likes was more than I was expecting. I don't ask for likes or anything, but I appreciate the support. I don't know when to expect the full cover. Maybe, like, a week. Depends on how. No, I might be, like, super busy this week. I'm not sure, but relatively soon. I don't think I'm gonna want to sit on this song for too long. Once I've learned a song, and all that remains is to, like, record it, I physically cannot, like, sit on it for too long. I need to, like, sit down and record it just to get it out of my system. So I expect it relatively soon. I hope it'll be good. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna keep doing more of these streams. They've been fun. But they are kind of random and short, so we'll see. And I said I was going to unlist the Retribution stream. I didn't end up doing that. I might do it eventually. I don't know. But, yeah, it's pretty much everything. I'm going to go rest up a bit before my final exam. So, peace. Thanks for showing up.